Taking a Walk.
I'm Buzz Knight, and today on Taking a Walk, we're joined by Dayglow, the indie pop sensation whose infectious melodies and thoughtful lyrics have captured the spirit of a new generation. As we talk, Dayglow, also known as Sloan Struble, opens up about the creative journey that's taken him from recording in his Texas bedroom to playing stages around the world. We'll dive into his inspirations, the stories behind his songs, and the moments of reflection that shape his music. So join us in a couple of minutes here after a few words from our sponsors with one of today's most exciting young artists, Dayglow. All right, Dayglow, Sloan Struble, thanks for being on the Taking a Walk podcast.
Heck yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so since we call the podcast Taking a Walk, and since we're not taking a walk, you and I, in person, if you had the opportunity to take a walk with somebody in the world of music, living or deceased, who would you take a walk with? And maybe tell us where you'd like to take that walk.
Oh, man. That's like an infinite question. I feel like there's so many ways you could answer that. First thing comes to mind is like Paul McCartney. That'd be cool to go on a walk with Paul McCartney and just ask him, like, how the heck did all of that happen? You know, like, how did this, I would just love to hear his perspective of like how his life began. And then where I would do it, I don't know. Freaking anywhere. If I get to walk with Paul McCartney, I'll walk anywhere.
It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I interviewed a musician recently by the name of Charles Kelly from the band Lady A, and Paul McCartney was his choice as well. So,
oh, nice.
The answers span so many different places. That's why I love the opening question, but thank you for that. So tell me what your earliest memory of music is, and one that made you feel something really special and knew you were going to be connected with a life of music.
Both of my parents, like, they were singers where they would like sing in church, and like, I guess like that's where my musical talent comes from, but we weren't like a musical house. Like, I wouldn't really say like instruments were sitting around the house and it was like a thing that was encouraged, especially as a career at first. But I just, I have so many things, just very early development of like pots and pans on the kitchen floor and all that type of stuff. But I think the first time where I just knew it was like my career was when I was like 10 years old. My cousin showed me GarageBand. We were having a garage sale, like my family was, and they came over and he like showed me how to use GarageBand. And I was just obsessed with that whole ecosystem of like iMovie and GarageBand and all the things that Apple had. And that just completely opened my mind to like making stuff. Because I think music is the most like innate part of me and the most way that I like to express myself. But I just love to make stuff. Like, I'm a really, really curious person, and whether it's video or music or like, woodworking or like 3D printing. Like, I have a 3D printer in that closet, and I'm just like always trying to figure out how stuff works. And GarageBand was just like the immediate hook. And so from that point on, like, I never played video games, or I never did any like activities like that. Like, GarageBand was my game.
Yep.
There's my dog again.
It sounds like it might be a delivery, or your dog has a question for you.
No, he's like anybody that's walking on the street. He's just like making himself known today. Hey, Benny, come here.
Hey, Vinny, you want to be on a podcast?
He would love that. All right. Hey, Benny, come here.
No, he thinks he owns the place because he does.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to take us inside the creation a little bit later on of Superbloom and
Mhm.
some of the influences and creative process. But
Mm.
as you're talking about your fascination with how things work, have you been someone who likes to kind of reverse engineer things, whether it be a printer or whether it be your keyboard? Are you always kind of fixated on just trying different things?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think there's definitely a sense of like the DIY spirit where like I have to prove that I can do it. And I think I'm really just proving it to myself. And I think like a really true intrinsic like look at it would be like I don't think I can do it. And so I have to prove to myself that I can. So it's like a self-worth thing, and that goes towards like everything that I create. Um, it's just that sense of like proving to myself that I can do anything, where from the outside that might seem like it's coming from a place of like complete confidence, like I can do anything. But I feel like every time I'm like restarting thinking I can't, so I have to prove that I can do it. Which, yeah, just like gives me a very like explorative spirit of like trying new things. And I'm just like always watching YouTube and just like tutorial things on like very niche stuff. And I'm just obsessed with like, yeah, proving that I can do it for better, for worse.
Well, it's a great confidence builder being curious, and it really is.
Yeah.
It sparks so many different areas in your life, whether it be the musical side or whether it be with new technology.
Mm.
What are you taking away these days in the burst upon the scene in the last certainly couple of years of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to, I really don't know that much about the AI stuff. Like, it's pretty weird when like people are like making people that don't exist and that type of stuff, which just goes into like social media in general. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know if that's really technically good for us, at least like this version of humanity. Who knows if we'll like evolved for it to be good for us or something, but I don't know. I mean, it's just such a crazy time with artificial intelligence and art and stuff. But I think like Rick Rubin, there was a video, and when I was watching it, all the comments were like saying, "What if this is AI?" So because he's like saying it's a video of Rick Rubin talking about AI, but then that's the irony. I don't know if it's real. I'm pretty sure it is. But he's like talking about AI and saying that the greatest part of like things that work and art that stands out is technically like unpredictable error, basically, and how like that's what the human touch is, and like it can't be reduced down to like one thing that code could ever write, because humanity doesn't make sense, and like we are always making mistakes, and that's what propels us forward, is usually like mistakes that end up being a good thing. And AI like doesn't want to make mistakes at all. And that's just not how people are. And I feel like that's how a lot of songs that I've made get written, is like I accidentally do something and it's like, oh, that worked. Like the birth of rock and roll was like they like accidentally broke an amp. So I think that's kind of what propels us forward, and AI doesn't have a chance with that.
Amen. Well, take us through the moment you decided to start Dayglow.
I was in high school and I lived in a small town in Texas, and I wasn't around any type of art scene at all. And yeah, I just like I was saying, just loved making music. But I wasn't at all like connected to the industry of any way, shape, or form. Like I didn't even know really anybody apart from like one of my friends that even liked music. That was like, I care about this band. Obviously there was like girls that like the Jonas Brothers or something, but there wasn't like, this band is cool and I like the alternative scene and all that. Like no one around me really cared. Yeah, I was just making music alone, and I decided to start putting it on the internet just by myself, and just put it as the name of Dayglow because there was a band or a song that I liked called Dayglow, by this band called Brazos. Yeah, just like released my songs. Fuzzy Brain, my first album, was like just a collection of songs because I was like, I want to finish an album by the end of summer and before I go to college. And so the week I left for college, I just like uploaded Fuzzy Brain on like TuneCore or CD Baby or something for like $20. And then, just the algorithm did its thing. It's crazy. I never thought in a million years that it would be like an actual career, especially to the extent that it's been already. So super grateful for that. But yeah, and like, Can I Call You Tonight and Hot Rod and all those songs, I'm like 17 in them, and it's just so crazy to think like that it's still just propelling my life forward what I did when I was 17.
It's wild. And it must be crazy waking up one morning and then seeing the fact that, as you put it, the algorithm had done its job and something has just taken off and gone crazy.
Totally.
What is that feeling like?
Man, I think it is a blessing and a curse. Like, it's virality is definitely a drug. And like, once you get it, it's like very hard to unwire your brain to like need the viral thing again. And that's just like the way the industry is shaped now. It's like you have to go viral, which that sucks. But yeah, I just remember like one day in college, I was like getting breakfast and I saw that Spotify had like naturally put two of my songs on like a new playlist that they made called Bedroom Pop. And then that's like how everything kind of propelled forward. So random and so organic. So that was cool. It was cool that like it wasn't planted in any way. It was like really, really organic, which is cool.
So who were the biggest musical influences? You mentioned Paul McCartney at the outset, certainly, but who are some other influences, and how do they shape your sound to this day?
I was 17 when I made a lot of Fuzzy Brain, like 17 and 18. And like, I love that music, but like your music taste changes, especially like in these formative years. And so it's just changed over time. Like, and I think people have seen that happen. Like, as my music taste evolves, like the music I'm making is pretty different. And I think the people that are through lines through all of it are just the musicians of the 80s and, earlier. So like, I grew up listening to a lot of James Taylor. I love the Beatles and Paul McCartney. Love Paul Simon. I love Phil Collins. Harmony House, my second album, was like very Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald influenced. And those are kind of like the true to myself, like Bruce Hornsby, like true to myself music passions. Then there's also like the alternative indie stuff. So like this recent album was like a lot like the Strokes and like Phoenix and just kind of that era of like, 2010 indie pop.
So the project Superbloom has a fascinating array of songs and styles to it. I'm going to highlight a couple of them here and get your reflection on it, and maybe take us inside your mind and your creative process. First of all, the song "Broken Bone." Mm-hmm. Tell me about that one.
It's like a jam song. So a band I was really listening to on this most recent record, which is like totally out of left field, but I was listening to a lot of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So they do like, I mean, they're known for just releasing tons of music, and they have like 25 albums already or something. But it's like generally just like jam rock. And I was listening to a lot of that, just like learning how to play the electric guitar better. And with that, like, Pink Floyd and just like epic electric guitar bands and stuff was, I think, what I was scared to do and embrace is that like emotional guitar playing type thing where it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think Broken Bone is just kind of like facing your fears, and musically I did that as well, and just had like this epic psych solo at the end. But yeah, it's a song with like tons of layers, but I would say just like mostly about facing your fears and letting life happen, like letting things break and feeling the pain of that, and then like waiting patiently for them to heal again is generally kind of the ethos behind it.
It's a great one. I want to ask you about another one that I really like called Cocoon.
So Cocoon's kind of the same driven feeling of just like a high energy song. Like a lot of the songs on this record, just my heart was racing and just like let's go, and like using high energy music to like meet your anxiety. So like I always thought like, if you're feeling anxious, you should like listen to calm music, which is probably true. But when listening to King Gizzard, it clicked for me, the connection that people have to like metal and high energy like rock music, and how it like makes them peaceful people. Because a lot of people that like listen to that type of music are like calm and like chill, and that just never made sense to me until making this record, where I was like trying to make these songs that were like addressing and powering through my anxiety. And I think Cocoon has that same message as like Broken Bone of just like facing your fears and just rocking out at the same time.
A lot of your music, I think, showcases that you have so much wisdom, but you're a young fella. Mm-hmm. And one song that really strikes me in that way as well is the one called Old Friend, New Face. Tell me about that one.
Old Friend, New Face is, I had that instrumentation, like the instrumental, for a while. And production wise, I just wanted it to like really embody that 2010 MySpace indie pop thing where like Passion Pit and Two Door Cinema Club and those kind of bands sonically. But lyrically, just like a song about facing and embracing like change in other people, I guess. Yeah, I mean, most of my songs are just about like growing up and changing and dealing with change. And Old Friend, New Face is like processing change somebody else is going through.
So what role do you think community, whether it's friends or family or fans, play in your creative life?
Creative life, I mean, fans for sure. Like, I think I have a great connection with my fans. I think my fans are really unique in the way that they're like really chill people, but they're also, for the most part, young. Like, I've never had any moments with my fans that are like they idolize me in any way. Like, I definitely feel like I have fans that like look up to me and they care what I have to say. But like, if a fan sees me in the street, it's never like freaking out or something. Like, everybody's super chill. I feel like I'm friends with all my fans, which is really cool. And so, yeah, I just always keep in mind like how they'll perceive what's going on. Yeah, just like the live show and how that'll translate, and having people in my life as well that just know what's going on and are there beside me is incredibly important. I think like creatively, it's awesome to just have fans that have like grown up with me, because yeah, like a lot of my fans are my age and we're 18 around Fuzzy Brain, and so like we're all kind of growing up together. And I'm kind of like a spokesperson in some ways. And so I'm like just trying to make sure that I in making good music, at least, you know.
You must be excited taking these new songs to the road.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked. We don't have like a tour planned right now, but really hope, and I'm sure we will soon. But yeah, I love playing live. Like I love playing shows so much. Yeah, it's the best.
Well, it's been so great to talk to you. I want to congratulate you on Superbloom and all your great work and your creative process. Thank you for sharing it. It's really just fantastic to meet you, Dayglow, Sloan Struble. Thanks for being on Taking a Walk and sharing your story.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Taking a Walk podcast. Share this and other episodes with your friends and follow us so you never miss an episode. Taking a Walk is available on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.